Hi guys, this is Pete from MyJewelryBench.com, and today we're going to do a little bit of a different video. I'm going to do an unboxing and a review of an Invicta Pro Dive watch. I ordered this. I did a service on one not too long ago. It was not in the greatest of shape, and I wanted to go through the watch, get a new one, and kind of review it. Now, it doesn't have a Swiss movement in it. It has a Chinese movement in it, if I'm not mistaken. We're gonna open this up for the first time. Take a look at this. Now, these inexpensive Pro Dive watches, they do come in these smaller boxes, as you can see. And let's take a look at what's inside. First thing we see when we open it up is the Invicta booklet with the limited warranty and instructions. Yeah, to be honest with you, these watches aren't that complicated for a mechanical automatic watch. There's not many functions to it for this little inexpensive dive watch. And it does have a water resistant little card that comes with it, and I want you to remember to read these if you should get one, because these watches are not waterproof. They're water resistant. They won't hold up to extensive water exposure. But go ahead and read the warranty. You might find it interesting. I'll put that aside. There's the instruction booklet that comes with it. Not too complicated. We can see that the watch has a 3-position crown, which is operational, 0. First position, which would be setting the date. Second position, which is setting the time. Put that aside. Let's take this out of the box, take a look at it. Okay. First thing we notice with an Invicta watch is when you get them, they have these little cute little Invicta tags on them. These things are kind of hideous. I like to rip them off. We're going to take that right off of the watch. Put that aside. And let's take a look at this watch. You can see this watch comes shipped from the factory with the rubber protection on it. And because I'm unboxing this for you guys, and I want to show off this watch, we're going to pull all this stuff apart here. We don't need all this plastic on here. Some of this plastic coating is a little hard to get off, so don't worry about ripping it or anything. It'll come off if you struggle enough with it. Okay, one down, one to go. Let's see if we can get this off. Sorry about the camera wobble, guys. Okay, just about done. There we go. Got all the plastic off. Okay, let's just take the last bit off, because that's the first thing that everybody does when they get a new watch. Okay. Now, you'll notice this watch is very similar in size to the more famous Submariner that everybody likes. It's a pretty good watch feel. The case is good. The band is stainless steel. So it has a nice stainless steel bracelet with a gold-plated inner ring. Now, you just got to remember, this watch costs under $100. So when you think and you compare this to, let's say, an $11,000 Submariner, or actually they're going for about $13,000 right now. Those have a solid gold link in the middle. That gold is never going to scratch and look so bad as to a like this one where the stainless steel will show through. The quality of the stainless steel, while it is good, is not the top notch of stainless steels used for watch bracelets. We're just going to close this up. But the weight of the watch is very comparable to a very good quality, more expensive dive watch. So keep that in mind when you're working with these. And we'll just take a look at the dial here. You can see that it's a pretty good looking watch. No matter how I look at this watch, it's got a good feel to it. One of the things that me as a watch tech or a watchmaker, one of the things that I have to consider when I'm looking at watches is that the inside of the watch is the meat and potatoes of how it's going to work. So when we look at a watch, we're actually going to worry more about what's on the inside. Let me just peel this off. We're going to worry more about what's on the inside of the watch than we are what's on the outside. Although we got to remember, this is jewelry for men, and you know, it's what we use every day to define, you know, a little bit of status for ourselves. Women like to wear diamond rings and diamond earrings and necklaces, and men like to wear nice looking watches. So I kind of like the way this feels. I like the way it looks. You can see it's laser engraved on the side with the Invicta logo. Just take a look at that. It's a nice engraving. It's highly polished on the sides. It's polished on the sides of the band. And the buckle and side rims of each band link has a brushed texture to it, as does the top of the case. Again, very similar to more expensive watches of other brands. We have a rotating bezel, and this is used for diving. So for instance, let's say that you're gonna hop in the water, and it's right here. It's approximately 7 minutes to 8, and what I want to do now is turn that little spot to the minute hand, and as the watch runs, the minute indicator will tell me how many minutes I'm diving underwater. So for instance, if I have a 20-minute tank, then I can see from this point here, if I get close to the 20-minute marker on that dial, as the minute hand turns, gets to the 20, I know I've been down for 20 minutes. So that's how you use a dive watch. These watches are, you know, just mechanical watches. If it keeps good time, it's a good watch. Again, we're not buying these because they are, you know, a status symbol. So let's take a look at some of the features on this watch. And bear with me here as I try to get a good shot of this. And I'm just going to adjust my camera angle here. So again, we have a screw down crown. So to wind the watch, I'm going to unscrew the crown until it comes out of the post. Once it's out of the post, I can actually wind it. This has a very light feel to the wind. I imagine the spring is an inexpensive mainspring. If I pull it out one click, you can see I can change the date. And that's pretty common on any watch. And if I pull it out a second click, we can change the time. So I'm just going to set the time here. It's approximately 18 minutes after 3 p.m. Let's just make sure we get to the p.m. There we go. Right about there. And today is the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to push that back in, pull it out to the first click, and we'll get to the 28th. There we go. Push it into the 0 position and then screw it down. Now, one thing I know about Invicta is you don't want to use so much force, because once you get that tightened too tight, you could actually tighten it so tight you can't get it off, and you'll do some damage to the thread. So you want it tight enough with your hand that it feels good that it's not going to come loose, and just try to unscrew it and make sure that it's held in place. That's the best way to use a screw down crown. Again, this is a base metal crown, probably stainless steel with gold plating on it. So this gold plating over time is going to wear down. And I just so happen to have done a service on one of these watches not too recently. I'll show you some video and pictures of what it looks like after the watch is just a few years old and been worn every day. Again, like I said, I like to look at the inside because, yeah, while these things look great on the outside, let's take a look at the inside of the watch. Now, first thing I want to do to open up the watch is to get a small little pin tool, and let's see if I can open up my tools here. I'm going to grab a small little pin tool, and I'm just going to pull out this band pin. Grab the band open like that, and you can see we're got a good shot of the watch here. And I'm going to take my case opening tools. We're going to pop open this case. Well, that wasn't untight at all. That was pretty loose. Okay, so now I've got the case opened up. Well, let's take a look at this watch movement. Again, this is an inexpensive Chinese movement. It's not the most elaborate watch. It's not an ETA or an ISA. It's not a Verilux. It's just an inexpensive automatic winding watch. I'll put these over here. So let's take a look at the inside of the watch here. You can see that we have Invicta's telltale yellow marked flywheel, and that flywheel, as you wear the watch, will spin back and forth, and it does wind in, I believe, in one direction. Let's just see here. Oh, luckily it does wind in both directions. One thing I like about Invicta is they always like to put on there that it's a USA design. So we know the watch was designed somewhere in the USA. And I'll bet probably the only thing that was designed in the USA is this little yellow indicator that gets epoxied onto or welded onto the flywheel. Pretty much everything else is assembled in China. We have a good beat on the watch. It's beating pretty well. Watch is keeping good time. One of the things that you can tell, that kind of gives you that indication it's not the highest quality watch is if we take a look at the watch. If you look closely on the inside, you can see that we have a plastic case holder. So that tells me that, again, not the highest quality watch in the world, but it's pretty, it's got a good beat. It does keep very good time. These watches are made of a lower quality material than you're going to find in most Swiss watches. ETA, ISA, Verilux, they're all going to be a much more higher quality watch material product. And you'll see the plates that hold everything together. If we look closely at the winding plate here, you can see how thin it is. And sadly, that's going to be affected, especially down here because I'm in Florida, especially by the heat and barometric pressure, as well as if the watch takes a hit on something like tile floor, that plate is going to get warped, damaged. There's just not enough beef to it, and even the balance, you can see from my previous videos, when we take a balance out of an ETA or a Rolex watch, that the thickness of the balance cock is ridiculously more beefy than this watch is ever going to be. But it does serve its purpose. While I am personally not a huge Invicta fan, Invicta watches are pretty nice. They do hold up well under normal care, where you're not going to abuse them every day. The watch, you know, if you take care of it and keep it clean, and you don't go swimming with it, and you don't go diving with it, and you stay out of, I would recommend not showering with these watches more than, you know, the first maybe several months, because after that the gaskets are going to loosen up. And I'm just going to throw this back together. You do want to make sure that you know, take care of them. They're not as durable as some other watches. They are slightly more delicate than, you know, the common Seikos and Citizen watches that we see, even some from Bulova. So, you know, when you're wearing these watches, just remember to take care of them, because they can't take the abuse that you can give a whole lot of other watches. Is this watch waterproof? Well, I just tightened the case a little tighter. That was pretty loose coming from the factory, and I imagine most of you who are going to buy this watch, and I wouldn't, you know, knock it. If you like the watch, buy it. It's a nice watch to have in your collection. But knowing that that case was loose from the factory, there's an indication to me that before you go doing anything adventurous with a watch like this, that you take your time, you have the watch checked out, make sure that it's working good and it's keeping good time, and that way you can enjoy it. As a special treat to you guys, over the course of the next several weeks through the month of May, anybody who's a subscriber to my channel will get a chance on May 30, I think it's the 31st of May. I will be picking a winner at random from my subscriber list on YouTube. So if you want to have a chance to win this watch, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. If you are already a subscriber, hey, you're already in the contest. So I will let you guys know in about 4.5 weeks who gives the winner of this lucky watch. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to put a little video of the last diver's watch that I did on my bench for a customer, and you can see the condition, like I said, of one of these watches, actually about the same watch, after it's a few years old. So the next thing you have to ask yourself, would I buy one of these myself? Well, that's a loaded question. Yeah, they're nice watches. Yes, they keep pretty good time. They look great. I mean, you can't deny that. If you're an Invicta fan, this is one that you want to have in your collection. If you're not an Invicta fan and you want a good everyday watch that you're not going to have to worry about, you know, nobody's going to steal it off your wrist, attack you, kill you. There are so many different versions of this watch in different colors that you can find one that's going to meet your taste, and I would definitely recommend having one. Just have to remember, it is a Chinese movement, and it is not going to run perfectly, but you know, I guess a couple seconds a day off is not something that I would worry about. The clasp works nice, the band is good, the watch is very comfortable on your wrist, and it's just a all good everyday watch that having in your collection is well worth it. So, of course, one of the things you want to cover when you're looking at one of these Invicta watches is the movement, and whether or not the movement is really a good movement or not. And it's really hard to tell unless you open up the watch. One thing about these watch movements is that they always have an inconsistent beat. So, you know, if you're used to a higher end watch that runs at a specific beat rate and it constantly stays there, this particular movement, unfortunately, will run somewhat erratically. And no matter what I try to do, I can't get it to run perfect, which means it's probably going to run yeah, maybe between 4 and 12 seconds off a day. That's kind of acceptable in some cases, but you know, these are not high-end watches. These are mid-priced or low-priced watch movements, so I wouldn't expect it to have a perfect beat rate. You'll look at this and you'll see the gauge of the metal, the thickness of the parts, can tell us a lot about the quality of the watch. This particular watch is not a Swiss movement. It is a Chinese movement. And I want to elaborate on that because, you know, some people think that Invicta sells pretty much Swiss watches, but not always the case. And these inexpensive Chinese movements can be serviced, but 9 times out of 10 we'll just never be able to get them to time correctly. So it's something that you've got to remember when you're purchasing one of these watches. They do look good. Again, I've taken this watch apart, tried to do a little service to it. It's running good, not great. I found that the hairspring was maladjusted. That could have been from the customer dropping it. I also found that some of the screws were a little loose in the movement, and that could have also been from the customer dropping it. But these things should be made to drop once in a while because, you know, you're wearing it every day. It's going to take a beating, and that's the purpose of, you know, high quality watch. Well, guys, that's my unboxing and review of the Invicta Pro Diver watch. I will be including some Amazon affiliate links through my Amazon affiliate account where you can get these on Amazon. I hope you enjoyed the review. These are pretty good watches, and I really like this watch. So I've decided to come up with a little contest. Anybody who subscribes to my YouTube channel between now and May 31st will have the opportunity to win this watch. So any subscribers as of May 31st, 2019, I will be picking one of those on June 1st, and you will receive this watch. It is a nice watch. I think you'll enjoy it. If you like Invicta, this will be a good add-on for your collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. If you like this channel, please subscribe, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. The more thumbs up I get, the more viewership I seem to get on YouTube, and I appreciate all the help I can get.